So I'm super excited today. I feel like a little kid. I'm joined by Dr. Robert Masters. Robert is a hero of mine and someone who's supported me in recent times on my journey. Robert supported me in my work. I've done some private sessions with him. I've been part of his men's group online, and I've also been part of his professional training. So I'm going to read Robert's bio, so be aware, it's incredible. So Robert is an integral psychotherapist, a relationship expert, a psycho-spiritual guide. He's the author of a ton of books. 4 of them I've read, and they've had a real profound impact on my life. The first one is called To Be a Man, and it's a classic book within the men's workspace. So if you're a man out there, or you're a woman who knows a man, he's got to read this book. The next book which had a real impact on me was Emotional Intimacy, which is all about turning the gaze inward and being emotional with our inner world of emotions. The third book I read was called Spiritual Bypassing, which is a classic of Robert's, and I also read one of his more recent ones, which is called Bringing the Shadow Out of the Dark. Robert's work spans over 4 decades, and it blends the physical, the emotional and the spiritual domains into what Robert calls full-blooded emotional embodiment, awakening, emotional literacy, shadow work and relational maturity. At the core of Robert's work is the journey of intimacy inwards with all that we are. Robert, it's such a pleasure to meet you in person.
Yeah, same here.
How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, thank you for driving in an hour to see me. I really appreciate it.
You are bigger than I thought.
I'm taller than I thought. Than you thought, right?
Tall for a rugby player.
It's wonderful to have you. I'm so fascinated to hear what you talk about in this podcast. The way I'd like to start it is by mentioning this word, being intimate with all that we are. On my journey, there was a time in my life, especially 15 years ago, where I'd been here, I'd been outward, I'd been chasing accreditations, money, success, no time for stopping, busy, busy, busy. All of a sudden I go on a yoga retreat in Thailand for a month, turned me upside down. It was amazing, it was dark, but it turned me inwards. And then when I met you a few years ago, I was already kind of on the journey, but your work helped me to go deeper this way. And I thank you for that, because in recent months, I've really felt inside of me what it feels like to be embodied and to be intimate with all that I am. But as a men's coach, it's not so easy to create a path for men where they have to be intimate with everything that they are. Can you talk to that? Can you talk about this word, being intimate with all that you are, the challenges for men, how you guide men inwards?
Well, I move at a pace that works for each man. Some men are ready to dive deep really quickly. Other men are much shyer, they're more armored, and the last thing I need is to be shamed for being like that. So what I do is I bring compassion to it, and I look for little cracks in the armor, have them identify it, we go in a little bit, and it's not a rush. I used to be able to I used to use dynamite in those situations. I don't use psychological dynamite anymore. I use compassion, connection, insight, intuition. And if I create rapport with the man who's very armored, it's almost like we're looking at his armoring side by side. There's a mutual sense. We're looking at it. We're not going, you shouldn't be like that. You should be more of a grown up. No. Every man has a boy in him, a teenager. Excuse me. Places of immaturity. Yes, we got water here.
Yeah, no worries. Go for it.
Okay.
Very interesting.
But you know, it's a real journey. The I mean, a man has to encounter what's young in him, pre-rational, and to feel it, not just think.
Yeah.
Inner child, this intellectual construct, has to be an emotional link. That takes some time usually.
Yeah.
Also to get in touch with inner critic. Most men allow their inner critic to have free access to the boy in them, and it's just a mess. It's like having a really bad father on your back all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's part of the groundwork. And intimacy, I don't introduce it right away because intimacy is a profound concept. It's hard to articulate. Many people think it means fusion. You know, you're a new partner. Oh, we're one. We're and that's codependence in drag. It really is. Intimacy means being relationally very, very close to what you're looking at. Could be another person, a state you're in, whatever. But you keep just enough space from it so you can keep a focus on what's going on. So when I'm teaching people how to work with people the way I do, I'm teaching them in part empathy and also how to have an empathic shield so they can keep just enough space. It's like if you're a parent, your child's really hurt, your heart goes out to them. Of course it does. But you don't get so enmeshed with their feeling state you lose the ability to do first aid, call 911, do things that are practical.
Yeah.
So no matter how intense the work is, how shamanic it is, how incredibly goose flesh making it is, I keep that subtle shield in place. So I'm operating at an optimal level.
Yeah.
When men feel that from me, and women, but men especially, there's a sense of safety, knowing that I'm not going to kick them in the balls, so to speak, when they're down, or shame them, be more of a man, grow up, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's more like I'm introducing them to the fact they've already got their internalized shame going, and my job is to slowly unearth it so they can look at it without losing their spine.
Yeah.
So if you're in a group with me and you've got a lot of shame, I'm going to have you probably face me or other men in the group, expose what you're ashamed about. You may cry, you may break down doing it, but I'll encourage you to keep your spine, so you keep your dignity as a man. You don't crumble into a puddle of guilt on the floor and self-flagellate.
Yeah.
And that's just the starters. I mean, when I'm working, it's so intuitive. Like I use a method I call incomplete sentences. So when I say I'm giving you one, I'll say right now I feel. When you finish that, I'm responding to what you've just said. I don't have a preset box to put you in. I don't have any therapeutic methodology that I'm attached to. I like to just wing it and see what comes. Sometimes it's very psychic, it's very spiritual. Other times it's very down to earth, grounded. It's like coaching.
Yeah.
I see it more as guidance. Coaching is fairly narrow. Guidance is has a bigger grasp, a wider grasp.
Yeah. Yeah. The incomplete sentences were really, really profound for me. Actually, it just gets you out of your head, and you don't have to think about so much.
Well, when I see a new group who's never done it before, I teach it to them at the beginning, and after a couple of days, they're going, "Oh my God, it's so efficient."
Yeah.
And you can have the client self-reflect in the middle of a process, so it's not just you trying to transmit stuff you read in a book somewhere. You're freshly present with them.
Yeah.
That's what keeps me going. I would have retired a long time ago. I've been burned out.
Yeah.
I have to feel joy in the work.
Yeah.
And I can't if I have a preset program I want people to fit into.
So I'm working as a men's coach, and I work one-on-one, and I run retreats, and there's a lot of talk about men doing their work.
Yeah.
How do you define that? If I said to you, Robert, I realize I've got to do the work, where'd you take me?
Deeper. Slowly. Yeah. Actually, I'm going to make haste slowly, so to speak. So it's efficient, but there's no push. It's not too fast. And if you have a lot of anger, and I bring that to the surface, and you're too hesitant to let it cross into full-blooded rage, which maybe it needs to. I used to push people to go over that edge many years ago. Yeah. Now I let them come to it on their own. I think I've become kinder and softer as I've gotten older. My 70s softened me up. I'm still doing heavy weights in my 60s, working like a maniac. Now I hit my 70s, I have to slow down. And it shows up in the work, and it makes the work even safer for people. Yeah.
You talk a lot about attunement, attuning with the client, and can you talk about the importance of that for men who want to do their work?
It's very important. If you're working with a man and he can tell you that you don't really like him, you just can't wait for the hour to be over, it's not going to go well. So if I have someone who's really shut down, that offends me, maybe in some subtle way, I go beyond that, go into my compassion for him, find the places we can connect. Maybe we'll talk about sports, we'll do something that's not even therapeutic looking at all, and suddenly the door opens, or he tells me a dream, then there's a crack, and maybe some tears come. Not because I'm trying to make the tears come, but they come, and then we flow with that. So it's an intuitive process.
Yeah.
And I have a very long intake form, so if someone doesn't like the form, they don't work with me.
Yeah.
Someone thinks I'm a terrible author, I'm not the right guy for them.
Yeah. And in order to be attuned with a client, you've got to be attuned with yourself, right?
Moment to moment.
Yeah.
So my work is to be absolutely present at every moment in a session or a group.
Yeah.
I don't get to waver, space out, glance at an email coming in or something. I'm staying right there. I'm being paid to be present, which is kind of a miracle.
Yeah. It's interesting, after working with you, I remember when I first worked with you and I was a little bit nervous to be fully intuitive.
Yeah.
But now when I work with clients, I'm completely intuitive. And then the tools that I learned 10, 12, 13, 14 years ago, they tend to come through me. But the intuitive approach is, for me, one that builds real safety when we can attune with ourselves first.
Yes. Yeah.
So Robert, there's a lot happening in the world of self-development, therapy, coaching, retreats, men, leadership. Not every man can work with you. You know, men have obviously got to look in different areas for work. What do you think works and what doesn't work at the moment in this kind of world that we live in? Like Connection.
That's the essence of a good relationship. Making connection priority. I do a lot of couples work. The theme is always make the connection priority. And here's how to do that. Because often it's not the priority. Or it gets pushed aside too quickly, or we confuse being sexual with being connected, and on and on and on.
And what do you see as let me just go back to that. I'm so pleased that you said that, because it's the foundation of everything, isn't it? The connection piece.
Yeah.
Now a man doesn't always consciously have awareness of that, but there's a real unconscious driver that's moving him towards connection, and it's the medicine that the world needs, isn't it?
Yeah. And it has to be understood in a very tangible way. It's not just saying the words, it's actually living it, like in a good relationship.
Yeah. What do you see as the greatest challenges for men right now? You know, what
unacknowledged shame. Shame is not seen as shame, because many of us men, women too, but men more, when we feel shame, it's such an uncomfortable emotion, we almost instantaneously let it morph into rage, aggression, or withdrawal, emotional numbness.
Yeah.
In either case, it looks like we're not feeling shame, we're just withdrawn, or we're really angry.
Yeah, that's definitely happened to me in relationship.
And then if you go in reverse a little bit, you go, it began with shame.
Yeah.
Something he or she said to me made me feel incompetent, made me feel like I'm a little kid again, reminds me of my father, the bullies I had at school or whatever.
Yeah.
And once a man recognizes his shame and knows it from the inside, there's a huge freedom. Then he can distinguish healthy shame from unhealthy shame. He can understand how much has driven him. Like a lot of us men feel shame arise whenever we're incompetent in a certain area. Building something, sex, everything. And once we see that, it doesn't go away, but our relationship to it changes. That's the whole thing about intimacy. You know, it's not about getting rid of stuff in ourselves that we think shouldn't be there so we can be a more liberated human being. It's more like making connection with everything, especially the stuff you find ugly, unflattering, even disgusting you have inside yourself.
Yeah.
So if I see a guy with a very dark porn habit, I mean, I know I'm not going to say you shouldn't do that, you're bad. It's more, I'm going to invite you how to outgrow it.
Yeah.
And how we do that, we have to go into the wounding that first drove you into it in the first place.
Yeah.
And it has to be tangible, it's heartfelt, it's very emotional. And men that do that end up outgrowing it, then they can really connect with a partner.
Well, you did that with me and I outgrew it as well.
Yeah, because you were willing.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because it's obviously unspoken. A lot of the men that I've worked with They have issues with form.
A lot of men are very wounded in that area.
Yeah.
And they've learned they had certain patterns kick in when they were very little, and then some wounding. When that gets eroticized, it's as if, it just seems like you just have a sex drive, or you like kinky stuff, or you, whatever it is, and you don't realize the roots of it are in early childhood wounding.
Yeah.
When you realize that, it's not like you dry up and become celibate. It's more like your sex doesn't depend so much on the link between genitals and visual cortex in the brain, like it's the essence of porn.
Yeah.
It's more like the heart's involved, the guts, and you're attuned to the partner, male or female, fully the whole time.
Yeah.
And if you don't come, it doesn't matter because you're already connected. Orgasm ceases to be this goal.
Yeah.
It's more like, okay, that's a nice side effect.
Yeah.
It's lovely to have that happen. It doesn't have to happen. But a lot of us, when we hit our teens, we found, erection, masturbation.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I feel so good so quickly. It takes me away from the bullying, the loneliness, the hurt, the rejection. But then it becomes addictive, and the problem kicks in.
Yeah.
And then often it follows men in their 20s, 30s. I've had guys in their 70s who are porn addicts.
Yeah. It's interesting what you say about sex as well. I was only talking to a taxi driver about this yesterday. When I look back over my life, teens, 20s, 30s, even 40s, I used to think, I've got a high sex drive, I'm horny as fuck. It was nonsense. I was just distracting myself. I didn't want to feel what was on the inside, so I'd ejaculate. Or I'd have sex. And
Or you're fucking away your anger, your anxiety, your loneliness.
Well, which is what I did. I fucked away my anger.
It's a quick discharge, but it's like pruning a tree. The tree doesn't disappear because you prune it.
Yeah.
This actually strengthens the habit.
Yeah.
And again, there's a disconnection implicit in that. When there is real connection with a partner, to me, the strongest aphrodisiac isn't some tantric ritual or a special way of touching. It's deep connection. That's the aphrodisiac. That's the turn on. And it's not necessarily always sexual, always ordinary foreplay. It could be an intellectual connection, emotional connection, psychic, psychological. When we're connected, then sex is like a celebration of being already connected, already plugged in. Then we don't burden our sexuality with the obligation to make us feel more secure, feel better, feel like more of a man. That's so liberating.
Of course.
And there's no pressure. I've got to have sex really often. Why doesn't she want it? Etc.
Yeah. What work is required for a man to be able to really kick the porn habit? Because it's not easy, is it? In terms of his own practice. Let's say I work with you like I did. We do some work. What is the practice? What is the daily practice for men to?
Well, one thing you can do if you're in that position is every time you have that urge, that compulsive, almost desperate urge to get on the computer, look at it, start masturbating. Instead of doing that, and instead of going, I shouldn't do that, that's bad, because that just drives into the shadows more. Instead, you ask yourself, what am I feeling emotionally? What's going on? How old do I feel? When did I used to feel this way? And then sit with that for a while. So you're sitting with these younger parts of yourself, and instead of pushing them away or thinking, I'm kind of embarrassed by them, they're kind of nerdy or geeky or they're whatever, you bring them into your heart, so to speak. And then if the urge to jack off is still there, maybe you go ahead, you do it, but it doesn't have the same compulsion behind it. And I think there's a lot of joy for men when they really kick a habit, not just that habit, but any habit. Where it could be substance abuse, it could be financially focusing too much on having lots of money. I've had guys who are feeling horrible because they're, instead of making 40 million bucks, they're making 20. It's like, what? It sounds insane, but there it is. But it requires a man to actually realize there's a problem. He isn't that happy. He's getting older. His partners aren't feeling that good with him. His kids maybe don't really like him that much. A whole bunch of things add up, and he goes, you know what? Something's not right here. And then comes the hard part, asking for help. Because for a lot of men, asking for help induces shame. So when I'm doing a men's group, I often congratulate the guys showing up for having the balls to show up there, even if they're scared shitless to start with. Usually them are pretty scared at the beginning. They're scared and they're excited too. But they're showing up. And that they're on the verge of accessing the warrior in them. the real healthy warrior who can take a stand even if he's quaking in his boots. And that's something.
Yeah.
And it's still sad to me that so few men lean into that, doing that deeper work. More women do, but there's a lot of women who don't too. But men are doing more than when I was younger. There's far more men stepping forward, but a lot of them settle for just coaching. Which there's not enough digging into one's history again, understanding the connection between what happened to you at birth and what you're doing now, or early childhood. Not to mention the cultural conditioning we're in. Like you can see, you're not American, but you can sense there's a lot of strain here.
Of course.
I mean, the two sides aren't exactly being civil. It's like a civil war, but it's not civil.
Yeah.
And that affects us.
Yeah.
The wars. I mean, every group I do, someone's breaking down because they have an incredibly strong feeling around what's going on in the Middle East, in Ukraine, in Burma, etc.
You touched on something really interesting here. I want to go into it because I think it's useful for men. So I'm a trained coach.
Yeah.
But I'm also trauma informed. I've worked with you, and I'm actually on the edge of certification as a somatic counsellor because I understand the importance of. And in my career, what I've tried to do is do that piece. I've got the yoga mindfulness piece, and I've got the coaching piece. But a lot of men are drawn to coaching because what coaching does, it gives them even more future-paced structure, so they can be more of a control freak. So can you talk a bit more about that? Why it's important? I mean, that helps, does it, from time to time? But why it's important to go the other way, like, and
because the other way
not falling into the trap.
The other way involves more of you.
The other way is harder, right?
It involves you as an infant, little boy, teen.
Yeah.
It involves you psychically. It involves your dreams. It involves so much how you are with women, men. It's more full spectrum. So the way I work is full spectrum.
It's less sexy, isn't it?
At first.
At first, yeah.
Yeah, then it is kind of sexy. There's juicy. I use the word juicy more, right?
Yeah.
Where's the juice?
Yeah, I like that word.
I see many people get dried up, especially when they hit their 60s and 70s. They say, where's the juice? Yeah, you're older, but where's your excitement? You just want to buy a Winnebago and just live on a golf course the rest of your life?
Yeah, the juice is definitely here. It's not here.
No, but we think it's out there often, and we look for that. We want a lot of stimulation.
Yeah. And the life force is here. It's not here.
And such distraction. I go to the gym now. I'm astonished. I've gone to the gym since I was a teenager. Now I go to the gym. Almost everyone in there, between sets, has got their head down and looking at the screen. Or they're hogging a machine because they're lost in the screen.
I hear you.
And I'm like an outsider because I go in there, I meditate when I work out.
Yeah.
Without it looking like meditation because my eyes are open. I'm moving slowly, breathing consciously. But I see that, and that's distraction.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
So part of our work is to help the people we work with see what distracts you. What are you doing
I think that's the essence. I think that's a big foundation of the work.
Yeah.
Huge foundation of the work.
See, if I take you in a place where you're really uncomfortable, you're probably going to have a natural urge to distract yourself. Check something over there, look up at the ceiling when I ask you a question, because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
My work is to see the discomfort, name it, and invite you to lean into the discomfort instead of trying to get away from it.
Yeah.
That's a huge step to move toward what hurts rather than pulling back.
Of course. One of the questions that I use a lot even now is I'll notice that an expectation's not been met, or something's come up, or I've been triggered, and I've started to remember more and more, and I just put my hand on my chest and I say, can you be with this feeling right now instead of trying to change it? Just simple as that.
That's simple. It's very radical too.
Yeah.
And it's very effective.
Yeah.
Especially if you do it with sincerity. It's not a therapeutic technique.
Yeah.
You feel moved by the man's struggle or the woman's struggle.
Yeah.
And you invite them into that.
Yeah. Talk about the importance of love in men's work. The reason I'm saying that is I've done a bunch of stuff over the years, and a lot of it's anger release and getting aggressive, and
you know, I noticed in the training I just did, most
enough
trainings,
love and compassion in it.
Yeah, but I think love is absolutely essential. Real love. Compassion is part of it, empathy.
Yeah.
And it's because many people need to identify what don't they like about themselves, what don't they love about themselves. A lot of people who are older, they don't like their bodies anymore. Okay, so I'll say, well, the body's going to die. I don't care how much you work out. Skin sags, bones creak, joints hurt, and it's part of the dance. I honor my body. My body's getting older. I can't. I love to run on the trails I hike on. I know if I do, because I see younger people way younger than me running. I know if I run, because I used to be an athlete, runner, I hurt my knees, so I've stopped years ago. I stopped tempting myself. Or if guys want to arm wrestle in a group, I used to join in there, wrestle with them, fight. I don't do that. Of course, online it's really easy. I don't do anything.
Yeah, yeah. How do you define spirituality, Robert?
Intimacy with what you take to be sacred.
Beautiful. Doesn't say that in the classic texts, does it?
Well, that's lived experience.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I'm doing my spiritual practice, I don't do it in a way that dissociates me from anything. To me, real spirituality, implicit in it, there's no escape from anything. Not like you're trying to rise above everything, be in a nirvanic state of immunity, so you don't have to feel the suffering of the world and yourself. But it's about feeling even more. So I feel more as I get older.
Yeah.
I get hurt more, but I mind less. It matters less to me because I'm so used to going toward what's uncomfortable. So as a hassle with my wife, I always lean into it. She leans into me. We've gotten so used to it, so it's not second nature, but it took a while.
Yeah.
To say, have the vow, no matter what happens, I'll be transparent.
Yeah.
And back to anger, I want to put a plug in for healthy anger.
Yeah.
I often say to people, it always surprises them, anger and love can coexist.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of a lot of spiritual paths pathologizing anger, like it's bad, it's wrong. And people doing that are associating anger with aggression, ill will, hatred, etc.
Yeah.
And healthy anger, if I'm angry at you and we're friends, I'll be heated, I'll be fiery, I'll be passionate, but I will be vulnerable. So you can tell I still care about you, even though I'm treating you, I'm really angry at you.
Yeah.
If I go to aggression, I'm just there to take you down, hurt you, stomp on you, stand over you, shame you. If it's healthy, I'm still intense, there's fire, but there's heart, there's care.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think there's such a thing as wrathful compassion. It's not that anger goes away as we go up the spiritual ladder higher and higher. I mean, a lot of Eastern masters have gotten pissed. Jesus got pretty angry in the New Testament. Yeah. It's part of our human equipment. And a person without their anger on tap usually has shitty boundaries. Yeah. Yeah. They don't have the passion and power to enforce the boundaries. Yeah. So I see a lot of men who are not just the aggressive, hard, armored men. I see men who are very soft or new age. They're very caring, but there's a sort of a weakness. There's a lack of balls. The spine is a little bent. So I invite them in to embody their what I would call full-blooded anger. So that then they can cry harder. If they're grieving, they don't just a few manly tears don't come down their cheeks. They sob, they heave. They feel. Because we think, well, women are more emotionally literate than men. That's true, but I think men can learn it. I've seen men learn it just as deeply as women have, emotional literacy. And that's another thing a man needs to learn, is to admit often when he's beginning work about how well he is with his emotions. Does he understand them? Is he literate emotionally? A lot of times, no. But if he can turn the corner, get past the shame that says you should be further along in this, he can then start to know himself emotionally. And then there's more rapport in that with women. It's just there.
I remember reading your books, and then I remember online doing some work with you around anger and the practice of being angry yet staying connected and bringing love into it was quite profound, because I got angry a lot. There's a lot of anger in my family history, and whenever I got angry, especially around women, I'd either go on the attack or I'd say fuck you and I'd go out. Disconnection.
Yeah.
Obviously she feels unsafe. So by practicing and role playing that actually, and staying connected was quite profound. There's a big difference between unconnected anger and connected anger. In fact, one of the things I do now automatically, if I feel anger, I just do that.
Yeah.
And I tell my clients to do the same thing. It's profound. You know.
It's a good reminder.
Yeah. Like, you fucking just hurt me. It changes everything. That.
Yeah. Or if you don't have your hand there, it's more like this.
Yeah.
Or like that.
Or like that.
Yeah. But see, both are disconnecting. When you pull back, it's an obvious disconnection. But when you go into unconscious reactive anger, it's also disconnected. And men and women who are disconnected with their anger often do damage.
Yeah.
They can hit someone, they can break furniture, they can scare the hell out of their children.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said for accessing our full-blooded, deeply primal masculine rage under certain conditions, but that takes a lot, because you have to be able to handle anger skillfully before you can say, I'm going to cut loose here, like in a conscious rant. Yeah,
and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're not getting rid of it, we're actually bringing it online so we can be intimate with it. Because I've been on men's groups and I hear, get rid of it, get rid of it. We don't want to get rid of it. We want to be intimate with it, right?
So I call that emotional masturbation. Okay, my anxiety's gone, anger's gone. No, it isn't. No more than you'll never have enough semen again to have an erection. I mean, it's...
I hear you.
Yeah.
It's another distraction, isn't it?
And here's the other thing, catharsis.
Yeah.
Very popular in some therapeutic circles, but a lot of catharsis is disconnected. People just hyperventilate, maybe take some psychedelics, whatever they're doing, and just bust loose. It feels really good to cut loose like that, kick, scream, but it's just discharge. And they're not really emptying themselves of anything. They're just weakening themselves.
And they're checking out from the intimacy with what is happening.
Yeah, a healthy catharsis is connected. So if you're crying your guts out, and you're angry too, and because you're remembering something your mother or father did when you're little, and it's really coming back to you, and that anger, that's the anger, disconnected. When you finish that, you're going to feel a different sense of relationship with those people. Yeah. Because you've moved something through your system.
Yeah. Yeah.
But see, this all implicit in all this is some degree of awakening.
Yeah.
You can't do really deep psychotherapeutic work without some spiritual practice, some mindfulness training. Yeah. You have to have some.
For sure. Can I look back to spirituality, because I want to get your opinion.
You know, I'm cool with you looping anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, being grounded, grounded spirituality in this world, all its messiness, being intimate with that, I get where you're going with that for sure. Now, on my journey, and I want to ask you, do you think this has to happen for all of us? And did it happen for you? On my journey, I had a number of peak experiences in meditation. My heart was ripped open. Oh my God, I'm connected to God. I remember 15 years ago with my ex-wife saying to her, are we spiritual? And like, we're spiritual, aren't we? And anyway, cut a long story short, 12 years ago, I left my wife because I thought that I could transcend all suffering and live on a cloud and be devoid of pain. Now, thankfully, I'm not there anymore. Yeah. And all my parts feel a lot more integrated. They really do. And I get what you're saying. It's like, it's wonderful to feel that. But my question is, on this journey of spirituality, on this journey of ever deepening awakening, is that a stage that we all have to go through in some way, where we think we can transcend and we live here instead of living here?
But that's part of a bigger factor, which is the urge to distract ourselves from our suffering. And then many people have that going at a deep level, are looking for spirituality to make them feel immune to human suffering and pain.
I think that's what I did.
And what you're really doing, you're numbing yourself, and you're putting spiritual robes on and acting like this is. It's not transcendence. That's dissociation with spiritual robes on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's natural to have that urge to get away. The real turning point for us, male or females, when we start shift from pulling away from the unpleasant to we lean into it.
I've just mentioned that I had spiritual experience, and I was up in a cloud and lots of peak experiences, and thought I was on the way to enlightenment, and left my wife because I thought that was an obstacle to my spiritual evolution. And and then now I'm more grounded. So the question was, that quest for transcendence of suffering, is that a stage in our evolution? It's almost as if, do we have to go up before we can come down into grounded spirituality? And maybe you just answer that now.
In some ways, but I think we all have a journey of facing our distractions.
Yeah.
What you described as a major distraction, spiritually based, and very seductive, because it can create a sense of not feeling things as strongly that are painful. There's a certain numbness that creeps in, but it's not named as numbness.
Yeah.
Transcendence sounds more glamorous, but it's really just dissociation in spiritual robes. Numbness, not wanting to feel the pain of the world, and also our own pain.
Yeah.
And I think part of the work for us is to be able to nakedly face our own pain and not turn it into suffering, meaning not making a drama out of it, just simply, this hurts like hell. And the closer I get to it, the more quickly I can work with it, bring it into my heart, and the healing emerges from that.
I found myself for years. I mean, I thought I was doing the work. To be fair, I thought I was doing the work, but I was just spending hours and hours in meditation, Robert, asking myself, who am I?
What was the answer?
Well, yeah. But what I've found since then is, and I see it in the work I'm doing now with men, and that type of meditation, the Ramana Maharshi, who am I, kind of detached witness consciousness. I'd love to get your view on this. I actually feel that combined with real, authentic, deep shadow work, it's actually fine. I find it to be an interesting combination.
Well, yeah, because implicit in that type of meditation, at best, is a sense of you're questioning identity. You're looking at, here's my usual identity, my deeper identity. And the deep shadow work overlaps with that. There's a sense of, okay, here's who I thought I was. Here's who I am. Here's who I seem to be. Here's what I am. All that stuff is part of the shadow work. So I think shadow work and spirituality are not two separate things. But the spirituality that can embrace shadow work is not your typical spiritual practice. It's not going for non-dual states, trying to rise above. Be able to say there's no such thing as another person. All that non-dual stuff, which is kind of a trap, because it dishonors particularities, individuality, in the name of oneness. So I've often said, don't settle for oneness. Go for intimacy. It's deeper. It's richer. There is oneness. Of course, we're all one in a way. But how are we different? What's different? And relationship's part of that.
Of course.
Like feeling the difference between you and a partner. No matter how close you are to her, there's still, she's not you. And if you try and be as one, then codependence creeps in, etc.
I actually left my ex-wife because I believed, because I'd spent time in a tantric community, I believed that having a wife and children would be an obstacle on the path. Man, and now we're here talking about the juice and the importance of having a relationship to.
You know what? To me, it's all the path. Including the shitty stuff, the stubbed toe, the ending of a relationship, body getting older. It's all. We're here to be awakened by all of it. My prayer there is, may I be awakened by all things. Until there's only God. Then paradoxically, when there's all God, somehow I'm still her as an individual too. It's that paradox.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that non-escapist spirituality is such an important thing. Like every time I do a group or training, especially training, I always bring in the spiritual dimension. And if someone's going for it in their work, I like to go in there with them.
Yeah.
Take it further.
Yeah.
See what's in there.
Yeah.
What darknesses are there that aren't being faced.
I want to talk about that because it's pretty big. You know,
Yeah.
I often hear from clients, other men, you know, she did this and she did that, she never does that, she never acknowledges me, she never tells me how good I am, she should love me, I'm her husband, she should have sex with me, and it's so codependent.
Yeah, so immature.
It's so codependent.
Yeah.
And I've also been needy in relationships. About 5.5 months ago, my current relationship ended. It was sad, but it's took me on a journey inwards. You've done some work with me and my friend Pat. We've created a container called the Sacred Pause. We realise that we can be needy in relationship. We want to deepen intimacy with our own inner being before we go into our next relationship. So there's a few rules until January the 1st. No dates, no porn, no obvious flirting, no getting hits on social media. And the practice is one of really kind of being intimate with us, being intimate with this, being intimate with everything that I am, taking myself on dates, doing kind things for myself, you know, self-touch.
Yeah.
And we're on day 82 now, and I can honestly say that it's been fucking hard. But the last 20 days, the feelings and the chemicals that are running through my body are the same as when I've fallen in love with a girl in the past, and I don't have a girlfriend. So I'm thankful, and I'm hoping that because I feel incredibly intimate with all that I am and all that I experience right now, that in my next relationship it will be a choice. It won't be a codependent need.
Yes.
Talk to me about that.
You'll want to be with someone who honors what you're doing and that honors it in herself. So you both are growing as individuals. You support each other in that. Yet you're also generating a powerful we space, a powerful field of intimacy.
Yeah.
And that creates safety for you to show up on all your colors, everything that makes you up, all that constitutes you and her.
Yeah.
That's what real intimacy can do.
Yeah.
But it's not codependent, it's not co-independent,
Yeah.
you know, where there's too much autonomy. It's more being centered.
Yeah.
It's deeper, it's richer.
Yeah.
And it may sound good on paper, but as you know, this is heavy duty labor to get the foundation laid for this.
Of course.
Not so many people romanticize having this, twin flames, soulmates, but they haven't done the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do the work, you come up against all your resistance to going deeper, being that naked.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Yeah. Also, I like it when I think I've heard you say things before, like radical self-love. I hear a lot of men and women, but men, I realise I've got to love myself. I realise I need to love myself. So they book a steam, they book a sauna, they book a massage, that's not self-love. Self-love is radical intimacy with everything that we are, right?
But if you say I love myself, who's doing the loving?
You know?
And who is getting the love? I mean, it speaks of a bunch of different parts or selves that together make up the sense of I.
Yeah.
So there's an awakening implicit needed in there. It's really needed.
So Robert, I hope you don't mind me if I ask you a question about your own relationship, because I know you speak about your wife all the time and it's beautiful to witness. Compared to previous relationships in your 77 years on the planet, how do you know that this is less codependent and more...
Well, there were signs right at the beginning. One was extreme ease from the very beginning. Nothing romantic. She was a singer-songwriter in California. I was living in Vancouver, British Columbia. She wrote me. She discovered my poetry online. Said she knew the words, the music for it. She wanted my permission to set it to music. I said, yeah, sure, but I want to talk to you first. So we had our first conversation, which was remarkable. It wasn't fireworks, it was just this ease. And
So
this,
you didn't put each other up on pedestals?
no, it's comfort. And a short time later she said, you know, I saw your books and stuff. I wasn't impressed. Wasn't impressed by that. But I really like your poetry. And I thought, this feels so good.
Yeah.
Because I'd had that before in relationships, right? And I'd sought it in some ways, made me feel better. I had too much power. And this one, we shared it equally.
Yeah, yeah.
And she was more out of touch with her anger than me at the time. But she quickly got in touch with hers, and we were able to challenge each other early on. And we deepened and deepened and deepened. And there was an implicit safety in what we did. Deep love, and the aphrodisiac, as I mentioned earlier, was connection.
Yeah.
Deep, deep, deep connection. It's deeper now than it ever was, even as we go into our final chapter.
Yeah, yeah. Wonderful.
So I'd had a long history before that, tried all kinds of experiments, doing stuff with different relationships. I'd done it, and I was kind of, I feel like been there, done that.
Yeah, yeah.
I've done enough. And I, like you in your transition right here, I was enjoying just being, oh, it's just me. It's me, taking care of me.
Yeah.
And then she comes along. I wasn't looking for a relationship, and there it was. It was not interesting not to feel like any desperation at all to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Zero. And then she showed up.
Beautiful.
In a similar state to me, and she was a peer. That was so important.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Suffering. You're 77 now.
Yeah.
You know, you've been through ups and downs in your life, and I know you've done a lot of inner work on yourself. The result of all this inner work, do you suffer less?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you talk about suffering and pain, the difference?
Yeah. I think suffering keeps pain in the dark, or doesn't heal. Suffering is a exaggerated dramatization of pain, featuring an I, a sense of self, this hurting, and it can be quite enveloping, quite consuming. I think the real work is to convert our suffering back into the pain that it was originally. So pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. That's how I see it. And so I suffer less. I probably have more pain in many ways, but I don't mind like I once did. I don't have an urge to get rid of it. When I feel pain now, my natural instinct is to lean into it, take my awareness into it, whether it's a stubbed toe or something, or hurt my knee, or something emotional, I'll go toward it.
Yeah.
Because I gather more when I do that. I see more. When I'm working with people, I'm helping them move toward what they'd rather get away from at a pace that works for them. So they can start to get a closer look. What shape is the pain? What color is the migraine I'm having? What do I sense when I go inside my uterus, go inside my knees? And there's a sense of curiosity that is taking me over at that point, and I invite the person to feel more curious. So we're both curious explorers. What's under that rock? What's behind that hip bone? What's happening in your heels, soles of your feet? There's something about that, and that doesn't have a set goal in mind. It's just simply exploration for the joy of it.
They're intimate questions, right?
They are. They're intimate, but they're not pushy or overwhelming. There's an invitation to look more deeply. And eventually that person, if they stick with the work long enough, like you have, it becomes natural.
Yeah.
You don't have to force yourself to look. You wake up and go, okay, I feel a little bad this morning. What's that? And then you look at it. You don't just go, oh, I'm bad. I'll give me a cup of coffee. I'll be fine. No, what is it? Like having a dream that disturbs you. Okay, I want to look at that dream. I want to go into it. I want to feel it. And see, this to me is you accessing the warrior in you, the you who wants to face what you normally wouldn't have faced before. And you want a partner who has the same depth in herself, the same courage, and is looking for a man who can meet her. And you're building that. Now, not that you have to have a partner, but my guess is you and I meet a couple of years from now, or sooner, you're going to be saying, wow, guess who I met?
Yeah. Awakening. What are we awakening to?
Our true nature. And our true nature is almost like a force of nature. It doesn't, it's just what we truly are, who we really are. And it's not like there's an end result. Okay, now I've realized it, I'm here. There's realizations, there's deeper levels of freedom. To me, it's a journey of endless discovery. It goes deeper and deeper and deeper. So for me, it's like one of my wife's chants goes, I open to the mystery. I open to the mystery. And the more I open to it, the more mysterious it is. And I'm not looking for answers, I'm looking for, how can I put it, maybe revelation is more important to me than explanation.
And Robert, you've got a groundbreaking book called To Be a Man, and you know, every men's coach, every psychotherapist, every person working with men from me should read that book. Such a beautiful title. What does it mean for you to be a man?
To wholeheartedly embrace all that I am, especially my masculine core, the warrior in me. It also means being in intimate contact with what's feminine in me. There's something about just standing tall in that and not being seduced by distractions.
That's a big topic, not being seduced by distractions. Wow.
Which means noticing how we have been seduced and how we're still possibly subject to that. But all this means you're taking a deeper look at yourself. You're curious.
It's a radical shift though, isn't it? Because I don't know if you were like this when you were younger, but I was, and a lot of men, you know, something that is unpleasant, or the inner critic, or the inner bully, or shame, or we want to punch it in the face, don't we? We don't want to embrace it and love it and inquire into it and bring it in and feel it. We want to punch it in the face.
We want to dominate it. We want to get rid of it. And if it so happens that it's bigger than us, well, good luck. There's a surrender implicit in this, isn't there? Not a submission, which means just caving in, a collapse. It's surrender. You dynamically open to it, and you flow. Like a huge wave comes your way, you're in the ocean. Surrender would mean you flow with the energies of the wave, and you don't hurt yourself as like you would if you just let it crush you, or you fought it. There's something about flowing with the bigger patterns, the bigger blows. And that a man is not just powerful, made of iron, steel. There's a flow. There's a you can call it feminine, but there's this flow of it. I flow more and more now.
Me too.
Even though I'm less physically flexible in some ways. I like flowing. Go here, go there. When I'm working with people, each time I give them a sentence to complete, and they do it, my flow is to respond to that exact thing they've said, not to an idea I have in my mind of where they should go. And I keep that going. I've done it for so long. It just flows and flows. And I'm often as surprised there about where we end up.
And the surrender piece for me, it just involves letting go of control, because most men are control freaks. You know, some of them, especially the guys who I attract, you know, normal everyday guys that have kind of, something's happened, they realize there's more to life.
They associate losing control with danger. Which now and then could be true, but a lot of times letting go doesn't mean danger, it means more freedom. And you can't just say that to them or have them read a book that says that. They have to actually experience it. And the art you and I have to embody is to do it at a pace and in a way that works for that particular man. Like I may have a man in the group who just everyone else is able to cut loose. He can't quite cut loose, so I'll give him credit for being able to raise his voice just a little bit, because he associates raising his voice with being like his abusive father, for example, or it's scary to the boy in him. So I'll move gently with him. Maybe next time he'll go deeper. Whereas when I was much younger, I would take that man, I do body work, I do heavy work, I get him where he did cut loose, but so much of it was my energy making it happen. Which is different than him being inspired by working with me, but taking that big step himself with me is kind of almost like a midwife or a cheerleader on the side.
the essence of
Yeah.
it is connection again, isn't it? Going back to connection.
Yeah, that's the theme, isn't it?
Yeah.
Staying connected.
Yeah. Just talk a little bit about shadow, just for the audience, just to simplify the concept of the shadow, because it's not sexy, even though we know it can be juicy at its core.
I see it as kind of a container for everything we've disowned or rejected in ourselves, or out of touch with ourselves. And that especially includes our unresolved conditioning, our unfaced conditioning, which is a big thing.
Yeah.
It's not just a matter of a bit of Jungian psychology or archetype consideration. It goes deeper. It goes right down to the raw, primal reality of our early conditioning. And most of us don't want to face that.
Yeah.
But it's there.
Yeah. And just kind of, I guess, going to the next level of that piece. Talk about the body and spirituality, the importance of working with the body.
Don't leave the body out. I mean, don't leave the body out. And don't see the body as an impediment to the realization.
Yeah.
Like a lot of, especially Eastern cultural traditions.
Well, that's what I did, because that's what influenced me.
like,
Oriental traditions.
Yeah, the body is just like this massive tissue, snot, bone, blood.
Yeah.
Like, and somehow the soul is inside. When I look inside my body, I don't find this thing, this homunculus, this soul. I sense that I'm not in this body. This body is a direct expression of who and what I truly am.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that. So it's not like I'm in here somewhere. If I look at my mind through the thoughts, is there a thinker in there somewhere? I never found a thinker.
No.
The thoughts create the illusion of the thinker so easily. But I think somatic awareness is so crucial. Even on Zoom, I'm constantly referring to people's bodies. How do you feel here?
Yeah.
Tighten this up, do that.
Yeah.
Tilt your head this way. I do work with people's eyes a lot. In person, of course, is different. I can do full out body work on I have a mat, but I may never do that again because of health concerns, COVID and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned the soul, and this concept of the soul in the body, and is it really? But when we do feel more embodied, and we can direct our intention into the body and be intimate with all that the body is, we do feel more soulful, right? It's just a default, isn't it?
I think if we talk about the language of being inside, I don't think the soul's in the body. The body's in the soul. The soul's a deeper reality, and it's the last frontier of individuality for me.
Yeah.
Beyond the soul, there is something beyond the soul, but the soul is us as individuals at the core.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And many of us are too quick to want to get away from that and just, it's all oneness. Everything's non-dual. There's no other persons.
Yeah.
It's all an illusion. No, I think we're here to live our humanness fully.
Yeah, me too.
All out, all out.
Me too.
Yeah.
And it's magical, isn't it?
Yeah. That's what you're doing. You're traveling around. You're feeling you're in all these different environments. Yeah. And you're having you're not lonely. Oh my God, I wish I had someone to travel with. You're digging it.
I feel like I won the jackpot. I feel like I've gone through a portal. And
you may never return.
I'm in a dream. Oh, Robert, thank you so much for the conversation. I'm really pleased to meet you for the first time, and I'm privileged that you made it all the way from your home, 1 hour away. And anything you want to say before we check out?
I've enjoyed meeting you. I mean, 3D, incredible.
Yeah.
How tall are you?
I say 5'6", but I'm kind of 5. I'm just under 5'6".
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of comfortable with myself now. I don't have to lie anymore about my height.
Yeah.
Just under 5'6".
And you're quite solid, though, too, aren't you?
I'm solid as a rock.
You're solid.
Yeah.
So you play rugby,
I'm a northerner,
right?
Robert.
Huh?
I'm a northerner. Solid, man. I'll take you out, me. It's a real pleasure to meet you, Robert. You're still working. You still love what you do.
Yeah.
You still love being attuned with your clients and feeling that connection yourself.
Yeah.
You've still got a gift to share with the world. What can people find out about your work, Robert?
RobertMasters.com.
RobertMasters.com.
And the books. There's There's a bunch of books, but the last 5 are the most relevant.
Which are the last 5?
Bringing Your Shadow Out of the Dark.
Yeah.
To Be a Man.
Yeah.
Emotional Intimacy. Transformation Through Intimacy.
Yeah.
And Spiritual Bypassing.
Great. Great.
And I have a new one out called A Deeper Freedom, but I haven't found a publisher for it yet.
Okay. Okay.
It's a book of essays, so my current publisher said they don't want to publish it because it's essays. So I'm hoping someone else will publish it who doesn't mind essays.
Yeah.
Because I have I've got like 100 essays.
Yeah.
And my memoir. Saying, here's my story.
Beautiful.
Here's how I began. Here's what I'm doing.
Great.
Here's my evolution.
Great. And I know that you work with many age groups. I remember doing a professional training with you. There was a guy on, he was 19. But you've also just started working with elders, right?
I'm going to start in January, my first elderhood group.
What does that look like?
It's going to be me with a bunch of men and women who are 65 and older.
Amazing.
And we're going to do the same deep work. We'll talk about death more than usual. A somatic decline.
Yeah.
And keeping the juice alive. Where's the juice?
So beautiful.
Where is the juice?
Well,
so
you must be excited by that.
I am. And I'm also doing more trainings. I just finished one. I have another one in November. And I have a new one for Australians in January because they just can't handle the hours. It means they have to start at 1:30 a.m.
Yeah, I remember.
So I'm going to have hours especially for Australians in January. And of course this all is assuming I'll still be able to work.
Yeah.
Because I wake up someday and think, I'd like to just do nothing for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just eat, meditate, write, just nothing.
Yeah.
But I get so much out of working with people.
Yeah, I see that. I see that.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it continues for a while. Robert, this won't be the last time you see me. Thanks again.
Yeah.
And I wish you all the best in the foreseeable future.
Okay.
So, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Thank you for listening. And I will see you on the next episode of the Dare to Be Different podcast.